Hi Aries, welcome to your week ahead tarot with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. Check them out for all three so that you know which part of you I resonate with most as a reader. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your key to the week, if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit that subscribe button. All right, so your key to the week this week is the Tower card. Get ready because this is likely to be a week that brings some shocks, some surprises, and maybe even some changes of direction, or potentially even changes of speed as well, actually, that you really don't expect. One of the things that I will say is if you get the Tower card as the key to the week, it does suggest that some of this is going to be out of your control. That's one way that you could see this, and it also suggests that if you're getting this now and you're watching this before the week starts, it means that you have a chance to course correct. Okay, meaning, you know, where it is that, you know, if you're thinking of a specific area of life or a specific situation in your life right now, when I say to you, maybe you could slow down a bit here, whatever pops into your mind at that moment, then you really do need to think about where it is that you're going OTT, all right? For your, okay, that's very interesting. For your actions and options, which is about what you do, right? This is about your actions, what you're setting into motion, what you're putting out into the world. When it comes to being on the road this week, whether it's a motorbike, whether it's a car, whether it's some sort of, I mean, obviously you can't really be in control of public transport, but where even if you're rushing for some form of public transport, this is not the week to do it, right? If you've got a car journey to make, even if it's a journey that you make 100 times a week, this week be very careful and watch your speed. You're likely, you know, potentially to have, you know, at the very least it could be a fender bender. At the very worst, you could end up in a ditch, right? So just really pay attention to how you're driving this week. Really, more than a crash, I don't feel like it's going to be a crash. I feel like a lot of you will end up getting a speeding ticket this week. And trust me, honey, ain't nobody want one of those, all right? So you need to take a moment. If you're getting in the car for anything this week, if you've got a road trip coming up, watch your speed when it comes to those. When it comes to the options that are available to you. It's very likely that they are outside of where you're at currently. So whatever it is that you're seeking or looking for, it's not coming to you. You will have to go to it, right? So this could potentially mean that there's some form of spontaneous travel that shows up. Then you've got the Seven of Pentacles, right? And the Seven of Pentacles shows up in the position of your communications and conversations. Slow and steady really is going to win the race this week. And I will say there's a possibility for some form of miscommunication. And if that is the case, take your time with it, all right? Even if you've got something where you're working to a deadline, you know, the finish line is kind of set and you need to meet it, take as much time as you can, right? Slow and steady is going to win the race. And the reason I say this is, it looks like on the professional level, you will end up forgetting something, right? So as an example, I never forget this. One of my friends, when we were doing our exams at school, she's actually really clever, right? She got pretty decent grades. But one of the... and it also happened as well. I don't know if you've seen The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. He says, oh, you know, that last question on the paper was killer. This actually happened to a friend of mine. She was so anxious to finish the exam, she completely missed one of the questions in the exam, right? And that's however many marks. So whether this is your work, whether it's a deadline, whether it's in your studies, pay attention, right? Take your time. Yes, be efficient, but don't rush it, because the chances are you'll miss a question on your exam paper. You know, you gloss over a question that your employer asks you, maybe in an interview situation, because you're so sort of focused on what you're focused on, you completely bly past. I'll never forget actually on so it took me 3 tries to get my driving license. I'm not ashamed of that fact. Statistically proven that drivers that pass second and third time round are actually safer drivers. All right. the reason this is important is because I remember being in the test that I actually passed. He said to me, can you take the left turn? And I took the right turn. I knew what I was doing, where I was going. And he said, you know, at the end of the test, he said, you went the wrong way to the way that I asked you, but you did it with conviction. You did it safely and you executed it perfectly. So I can't sort of mark you down for it. But, you know, pay attention to what's being said to you. In your work, your profession, your career, your academic pursuits, etc., listen to what's being said, right? You're going to want to charge in this week. You're going to want to sort of be that person that's leading everything. And the truth is, this week, shut your mouth and listen, all right? Just pay attention to what's being said, because you might end up missing something and it could be a vital piece of information. When it comes to those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, if you're taking tests or exams this week, the outcome is good, providing you take your time. When it comes to those of you that are employed by somebody else, again, especially where there are in-house interviews going on, especially where there are things that could potentially lead to new positions opening up for you, or certainly new responsibilities, pay attention to what you're being asked, right? And I will say, this is going to require an added layer of patience. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, similar kind of energy. Only for you guys, this is really about what you've already set into motion and what it's going to take to kind of see it through to completion. All right, it looks like there's one final ingredient, and if you're noticing that something isn't going over the finish line, it's probably because you haven't added, or you've forgotten to add something because you're going too fast. When it comes to those of you that are retired and no longer working, that's Seven of Pentacles with the Tower card. This will be about something that you have invested in, potentially financially, with friends, with family. It may even be about the state of your personal finances in some regard. There's possibly either, and we'll have to wait till your finance card comes up, but there's possibly either some kind of financial expense that you don't expect this week, or there's some important information coming to light around your finances. For your love and relation, you've got the Justice card. I actually really like this card, but for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, your partner might ask you for a level of commitment or some form of backing this week that you don't know if you can give. And it's not so much, I don't really think that it's so much about the fact that you can't give it. It almost feels like there's a part of you that's kind of almost like off-putted by the fact that they're asking for this, right? So whatever it is, and it may have something to do with a financial matter, it could also potentially have something to do with some form of travel. But it's like it comes so left of field that you're a bit sort of dazed by it. So watch out for that. When it comes to those of you that are single and looking to date, Justice card is about commitment. So this could be that you are connecting with somebody who requires a certain level of commitment from you. I think all in all, this is going to be a very interesting week for you guys. Before we get into your money and materials, remember the Lunar Lacuna is open. You can join whenever you want to. It's kind of like a rolling membership. So make sure you get in there. You've seen the snippets of the stuff that I was talking about just for the Gemini new moon. Imagine what you're going to be able to do to create or to perfect while manifesting with the cycles of the moon, while using energy work over the course of the next 12 months. If you want to be on that, the links and all of the good stuff about it are in the description box below. For your money and materials, you've got the Knight of Wands. So what do we see here straight away? Two knights. Two knights represents intimacy. I gotta be honest with you, whether it's a partner or not, whether it's friendship or not, whether it's family or not, whether it's acquaintances or maybe even business colleagues, right? This is not a week where money and partnerships mix. Especially if you're getting into bed with somebody over a long period of time, the chances are whatever's going on with their finances or resources will potentially impact your own. Stay out of it, all right? When it comes to your specific resources, this could be you wanting to spend money on some form of travel, some kind of getaway, and maybe this comes up and you have a bit of a moment where you're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm booking a holiday, right? And it might not necessarily be a long holiday, but it's like you're doing this as a knee-jerk reaction, I'll be honest, I still think it's a pretty good idea, providing it's led by you, right? In terms of lending money or sharing money with another person, for me, based on these cards, it's an absolute no. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, I actually really like the Knight of Wands for physical health and vitality because it's a lot of energy, but coupled here with the Tower card, you must watch out for inflammation this week. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, not a medical professional. This is not diagnosis or anything like that. But I will say your lower back, your hips, your buttocks and your thighs, watch out for sensitivity, irritation and inflammation around those areas. Now, what's really interesting about that is that the lower back in particular, when it comes to finances, it's all about worries about finances around your future. So interesting stuff in that, that connection. And then finally, when it comes to your home and environment, quite frankly, home is literally just a base of operations this week. You're going to be so busy that I don't think you will even, it's kind of like it's on a loop, right? There's so much going on that you might not even notice that you're going home, right? It's just kind of, yeah, this is great. This is where I lay my head, all right? With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.